Okay, Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. Just taking an afternoon break from work. So, debate reaction. Vice President debate reaction. I saw the replay this morning. I watched part of it live in the middle of the night, but I fell asleep, so I had to rewatch it. I think, to put it short, JD Vance just won the 2028 presidential election. He did everything Trump should have done. He stayed on point. He dodged direct questions like deporting these complicated families where the kid is born in America but the parents snuck in. My view on that is they will probably start with the criminals first and then the single people, and then probably come up with some plan on how to handle these situations, maybe like a grandfather clause, with the anchor babies, as they call them. We will see, but it sounds like that just from what, how Trump and JD Vance have answered these questions in the past, is that the priority is to stop the madness and then and then get the criminals out, people with criminal records, people who haven't been vetted properly, and then just work their way down. And we have such a labor shortage in the U.S., that there probably will be a humane thing for the people who are in this situation. Tim Walz did not impress me at all. He definitely validated his name, Tampon Tim. That's he was agreeing with Vance, and he was he called himself a knucklehead. Trump, the first debate, won the narrative with the dogs and cats thing, and this guy put his discredited himself. When they were talking about was he in China or not in China. These are like minor details. If you're like 60 years old and you've been in politics and you traveled a lot, you could mix things up. Now he wasn't in Tiananmen Square, so I guess that was a big lie. I don't know. But the point is he really screwed himself there. And I guess he'll go down in history as Tampon Tim. And it's unfortunate because, Minnesota is my birth state. I'm still a Vikings fan. It's where I was born. It's like my nationality, as one would say. In America, you're kind of associate with your states. So I consider myself a Minnesota person, even though I lived there only my first 10 years. But it sticks with you, the mentality and the way of thinking, fiscally conservative, socially liberal, but not this socially liberal, that he has taken things, he has taken things too far left. And a lot of people in Minnesota aren't happy about that. We used to have a very nice balance, and that's been broken. So, and then the other thought I had about this, I've talked about this a lot, I got kicked off Reddit for this, is this Sarah Ashton Cirillo. She really picked the wrong person to call out on her video tweet long back, taking jabs at JD Vance, and I really don't understand why Ukraine picked her to be a spokesperson and how this got loose, that I guess this was an unauthorized thing that she did to, attack JD Vance, and I said it was either going to be Josh Hawley or JD Vance that would be Trump's VP. I had talked with friends about this, that don't mess with this guy. He's one of Trump's rooks. Josh Hawley was the other guy. He's a Missouri senator. He talks just as good as JD Vance. I think even better. But somehow JD got the nomination. But how the hell did Ukraine get on the wrong side of woke? And why did they... and this Sarah Ashton Cirillo decided to use the Ukraine war, where a lot of people are dying, to make it a stage for transgender and gay and lesbian stuff. This is not this kind of country. Now Ukraine has got itself connected with this stuff, and this is a family-oriented, conservative country. people here marry on average 10 years younger than they do in Western Europe. I was looking at some statistics. Women here marry in their mid-20s, where in Europe they marry in their mid-30s. And they have kids early here. I mean, I have a friend, Nick. He's 21 years old and got engaged, and he's asking me about, what's it like having a kid and, the whole process you go through at the hospital and how to manage a pregnancy. And he's like 21. I mean, you don't see, 21-year-olds are still in America like collecting Star Wars action figures and building Lego sets. And these people are thinking about having a family. I mean, she really screwed Ukraine, I think, because this really gave a lot of conservatives a negative image of this country. It's not like that. I mean, Ukraine is like Kansas, it's like Minnesota back in the old days. I mean, the family values and everything are strong, but they're tolerant. I mean, there's no gay people being discriminated against here, or, anyone, no one even cares. It's like everyone is kind of to themselves here. Nobody is like shouting loudly about what they are. I mean, we even have like African people and people from Colombia here, and nobody is like throwing, hate at them or anything like that. But at the same time, they're not like trying to make a special day or a month for themselves or anything like that. I mean, it's just kind of everyone is doing their thing here. And if you have a useful skill, you'll get a job here. If you're useful, I mean, they don't care what you are. Just don't wear it on your sleeve. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's like, and when you're at work here in Ukraine, people are talking about work. Yes, you'll make some friends at work, but you can't legislate who you prefer and like as friends. It's so everyone has their own little groups, and within those groups they share things about their family or their hobbies or whatever. It's this is like a real good place, actually, and it's really too bad that she gave it the wrong image. She gave conservatives in America the wrong perception of Ukraine. And you have all these like conservative bloggers coming here trying to attack Ukraine. And I mean, there's some valid criticisms. There's this guy, Nick Shirley, some YouTuber, and he came to Kiev trying to show all the corruption and deny Bucha. I blame this all on this this weirdo, who like just decided to take the initiative under the, under this, I don't know what to say, guise or something, as a Ukrainian Army spokesperson to go after a U.S. politician. I mean, and this is another criticism I have of Zelensky's visit, that he was kind of partial to Harris and going on her campaign stops. You've got to be neutral. I saw a speech by Larry Fink the other day, and they were asking who he prefers, Harris or Trump, and how it would change policy. It says, from a stocks and investment point of view, that's what BlackRock does. Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock. He said it's not going to change very much. He said the momentum of the AI revolution, all this is going to be unaffected. Housing is not going to change much. And so they're not really having like a plan A or plan B. They just have a plan. And they said the politics are irrelevant. And that's what Zelensky and the Ukrainian leadership should be like. If anything, they should be trying to sell Trump the idea that Ukraine is like a family-oriented conservative country and has a lot to offer, Americans and America. This would be a great trading partner, great place for American industry to develop, like Caterpillar and John Deere, and all the construction companies, BlackRock. That's what he should be selling, instead of like taking one side over another. And so, I was like convinced before that Harris was going to win no matter what because of the Democratic machine and the mail-in ballots. But now, I don't know, this is truly a 50-50 race. Maybe, and JD Vance is really like the face of the Republican Party. He saved Trump last night. And he's basically made a name for himself for 2028, that he's going to be the Republican frontrunner. And I imagine him and DeSantis or him and Nikki Haley on a ticket will be pretty unbeatable. I don't know if there's any Democrat that could, beat that combo in 2028. But and, you know, for me, I'm definitely not voting for Harris. I mean, there's a few reasons, like she's really hiding from the opposition media, like Fox and all this. She's just going to like friendly people and getting softball interviews, and, you know, getting softball questions. How the hell is she going to handle Putin and, you know, the Iranians and all these people? And that kind of lets me segue into, what does this mean for Ukraine? And we'll come back to at the end to, like, you know, like I said, I've said all along, I'm between Jill Stein and Donald Trump, and I'll reveal my choice, you know, later on here. But what this means for Ukraine. So there's only two ways this war is going to go. You know, Trump is going to get in, and they're going to probably have, you know, it's probably going to be a compromise with Russia of some sort. Some may perceive it as a Russian victory. Others may perceive it as a stalemate. But it's definitely not going to be a Ukrainian victory unless the Europeans can work with Trump to get Ukraine in NATO, or get Ukraine some protection agreement like Korea's got with boots on the ground. You know, that would be the Ukrainian victory. Trade territory for some, you know, NATO-type protection agreement like South Korea got. I mean, South Korea didn't win the Korean War, but neither did the Chinese. You know, they got like a stalemate, and things have been like at a hostile stable, right? I mean, the war is still going on. The Korean War has just been on hold, but it's still officially active. You know, it's like officially a war. They never solved it, but they've reached an equilibrium. Or you get something like East and West Germany, but it would have to involve foreign troops, you know, European troops. You know, I don't think America, if Trump is in, it definitely won't be American troops. It'd have to be like German, Swedish, Polish, you know, big countries, Spanish troops in here, French Foreign Legion, you know, lining the border and lining that DMZ with Russia. It would have to be some sort of stalemate, and that's what they have to go for. Then the airports can open, the economy can develop, BlackRock can bring all their money in here and start building infrastructure, you know, and we can get moving on with life. And then we have to do a Cold War like we did with East and West Germany, do it for the next 70 years, you know, wait till Putin dies, maybe 40 years from now or something like that. People are living longer, and he's healthy. He's not an alcoholic like Boris Yeltsin. You know, the guy works out every day and doesn't drink and plays chess and all this stuff, so we're going to have to deal with him for a long time. But we'll have to go into Cold War mode, you know, probably use all these open borders between Georgia and the stands to run in, you know, materials for separatists so they can do some disruptive things inside Ukraine and get a little bit of rebel warfare. I mean, inside Russia, you know, that they can do some, and probably inside those Ukrainian territories, you know, to get materials to the rebels inside those held places. You know, I mean, Russia's actually 19 separate nations, you know, pulled together. And a lot of people, you know, we got to inspire them to go separatist. So we'll have a lot of time in the Cold War to divert resources that we have to increase our technology so we can make a nuclear war winnable. You know, advanced lasers, AI, quantum computing, all of these things to make fire control more faster and accurate, where we can shoot down every single incoming missile, you know, and that way we can, in 10 years, you know, give them a demonstration. That's what we got to do. Because if we go the Harris way, let's say Harris wins and we keep this war going on this vector, right? This is like training for a marathon or a triathlon on one sandwich a day. You know, so you go out and run 10, 15 miles a day, and the only thing you get to eat all day is a sandwich. You're going to eventually wither away and die. You know, you're going to, you know, lose weight, your body's going to break down, and you're going to fall apart, and you're going to collapse. You know, and that's what the Allies are doing now to Ukraine. They're having them run a marathon, and they get like one glass of water and one sandwich a day. You know, and Ukraine still has to get up and willpower their way through this and still keep running, you know, and, you know, and keep training, you know, 10 to 15 miles a day, you know, which is like 20 kilometers, you know, 22 kilometers a day of training, you know, basically 300 or 400 calories a day and a glass of water. You know, it's not sustainable. You know, things will start falling apart. They already are a little bit. You know, it's, you know, the economy is just being held together by, last minute grants and loans and stuff by the IMF. It's it's just you got to be here on the ground. All you bloggers and cheerleaders abroad need to move here to Ukraine and experience this for yourself. I mean, there is like resilience, and a lot of people are just pretending things aren't happening and everything, and there is a bit of a boom here in Lviv from the internal migration, so Lviv doesn't even give you a real sense of what's going on. Lviv is like now the richest city in Ukraine, maybe Lviv and Uzhhorod, and we're living close to the center. We're very fortunate, but it's really not, this is not reflective of what's happening here. And so they have to come up with a way, right, to stop the bleeding, as one would say, and have this ability to regroup and recuperate and build themselves up so that they can, get their country back when things collapse inside Russia. And that would probably come with like Putin's passing. The deal is with Putin is he's invested into this since he was 25 years old. He built his network, his circle of friends, and he's got his loyalists and everything, and they're gonna go down on the ship with him. They're gonna follow him straight to hell. I mean, that's just there's not many cracks inside his group, despite what this Western propaganda media wants to, this hopium media. If that were true, he would have been taken out like Saddam. Saddam Hussein was sold out by his own relatives, his sons, and all these people. They had all told on him and took the reward money. That would have happened by now. His own people would have surrendered him and sued for a peace agreement with the West and forgiveness and get the sanctions lifted. These are real ideologues. These people are really dangerous people. It's like Bin Laden. Bin Laden was a son of a billionaire, and he decided to go live in a cave and try to take down America. The guy could have just been living on a beach in France and had Rolls Royces and helicopters and, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, hanging out with him. But he wanted, he's very ideological, and there's people like this in the world. I mean, in a sense, I gave up like a career path in America to come live here in Europe and Ukraine because I really believe in this, living this walkable life, and so at all levels, there's very strong ideological people. So, yeah, and how did we get here? Like I said, how did Europe get into this mess with Russia? Europe and all these countries decided after '91 that Russia was no longer a threat, and that we could go from emphasizing national defense in our school systems and our societies, training engineers and training people that, the schools and everything emphasize the skills that would make good leaders, in the military and then afterwards in industry, and giving people hard skills like trade skills like plumbing, electrician, welders. Instead, they decided, let's go woke. They decided we don't need this anymore. We don't need to, focus on grades and focus on achievement and finding the people who are good in math and science and, bringing them to the front, and getting them in the defense sector, so that we're always a strong country. The Russian threat no longer exists, and China's our friend. We're going to do BRIC countries. Goldman Sachs and all these people put out funds to invest in India, Russia, China, and a lot of money went into Dubai, which found its way into Iran. It's like they decided that this was the end of wars and the end of everything without doing their due diligence. And then so we went from emphasizing classical studies to wokeness, teaching people how to make graphics on Facebook and, emphasizing gender and, fixing, the bathrooms. Now, I don't get the bathroom thing, I mean, like in Norway, you don't have like a boys' room and a girls' bathroom. You just have like a whole bunch of doors, and there's like a toilet and a sink, and even some of them have a diaper changing table. Then you come out and you share the sink with the girl. I mean, I don't know why that had to be such a big deal, you know, but it's like gender neutral. Okay, I mean, but that became like a political thing at the expense of everything else. You know, it's like to have these kind of bathrooms. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. You know, I guess but I guess where the problem came is that when you have these separate bathrooms, they wanted the boys to be able to go in the girls' bathroom and the girls to go in the boys' bathroom. And this was like the whole thing for the Democrats, like for Obama, is getting, you know, allowing people to use each other's bathrooms, you know. And then finally, I think in Europe, they just fixed the problem by having these neutral bathrooms where you have a door for each toilet, and, you know, you can lock yourself in there and do whatever you got to do. And it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, you know, it's all works the same. But this is like where things went. This is where things went wrong. Instead of like developing our military technology and, you know, keep making sure that the countries that are hostile towards us or dictatorships stay poor, that they don't get any money and they don't get any technology, and that we, you know, we lure their best and brightest to American universities and grant them green cards and get them to stay and get them to work for us and deprive them of their brains. You know, we brain drain them, but instead we invested in all those countries and made it worthwhile for those people with over 140 IQ to go home and start companies and work in their defense sector. And now it's a problem for us. You know, so this leads to where you can probably see where I'm going with this. Like, you know, this is my view, you know, and this will give you a hint of where I'm voting. My view is if America is not first, the whole Western civilization will end up last. You know, we have a whole lot of rebuilding to do for the next 10 years to get us back into this Cold War mode, you know, where we have to deal with the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians on a sustained basis. This is not just some blip that goes away. This is a generational problem, probably for the next 100 years. You know, I mean, because Russia could go the way of North Korea, that someone who follows Putin is just as bad. You know, we have to get people in there and run intelligence operations so the people following Putin, you know, we get a collapse like the USSR, and then we can reshape the country in our image. You know, we can put Walmarts and McDonald's all over the place there, you know. You know, as much as I can't stand either of those two companies, I think that's what's got to happen so we can keep them under control. But yeah, that's where things have went wrong. The Democrats wanted to put tampons in the boys' room, and that's their whole focus and their whole thing in life, you know. And meanwhile, our enemies are getting stronger and losing respect for us, and we've got to get America back on this like track where we're like emphasizing, you know, technical skills and emphasizing families, so that we're getting our birth rate up there, so we don't die out like the Japanese or Koreans and all these people who are struggling to maintain a population. And we've got to make you know, Americans got to be happy, and then we got to take care of our allies. You know, but things have gone so wrong. We got to put pressure on the Europeans. You know, Europeans got to take care of Ukraine. They've got to come together, and they've got to unite these European countries. This thing about acting like separate nation states with separate languages and cultures, it's stupid. It's not fitting for the times. They've got to agree on a single language, and they've got to have a system like the U.S. has, a more federal republic system than this whole thing like a confederacy. I mean, we had like this too. You know, I mean, this was our first government, was under a constitution called the Articles of the Confederation. And it was like a weak central government and strong states, and the central government had to go beg for money from the different states. Every state had their own currency. I mean, America went through this like 240 years ago. I mean, I don't know why Europe can't just, why they have to repeat all the stuff instead of just learning, you know, and coming up with even a better model than we have in the U.S. But they're not functioning. They cannot make the decisions. They cannot organize themselves fast enough to respond to the challenges. But I think that's something where, you know, they won't change unless the pressure is put on them. And this is the right pressure, is this war here in Ukraine. But I would like to see like a non-British, non-American leader take charge of supporting Ukraine and getting this Europe united, and, you know, fixing this problem with Hungary, and fixing the problem in Austria, you know, and fixing this AfD problem, and getting a more federalized Europe, and getting England back in. That would be nice to undo this Brexit, but I don't think it'll happen. So it ain't gonna happen unless there's pressure on them. You know, as long as America is backstopping them, they're not gonna change. You know, they're just gonna focus on all this, you know, gender stuff, and, you know, wokeness, and, you know, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'll have to do another video on my experiences working, you know, in Europe and stuff, and like how stuff goes at the office, you know, and, you know, just the culture, where their head is, you know, like, you know, winning and profits and all this stuff is like demonized, and everything is about feeling, you know, like your feelings and stuff. But this is gotta change. I mean, we got, you know, Russia's definitely showed us what they are, and we've got to, you know, we've got to put a wall up against them, and literally and figuratively, and be ready to attack them in 10 years. You know, we have to build up our militaries, and, you know, all these European militaries got to interoperate and work together and be ready to go on the offensive. That's the best defense, is a strong offense. You know, you got to hit them before they hit you. But anyway, that's all I got. Take care. We'll see you.